So I think it's should be recording. Well, it's a little bit slow. Well, it seems like it's recording. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, it's recording, but I didn't hear any sound. Okay, guys. So if you guys remember, yesterday we started this lesson 2.1. We had two goals. The first one had to do with recognizing and using noun phrases, which is a topic that we had studied before. So this is not actually new for you. So we were doing a couple of things with that, and also understanding and using phrases with adverbs, which is something we're going to be covering today. Um, well, perhaps what's new here is that we saw a number of types of words that can go before the nouns, and also types of phrases that can go after the noun. So that's pretty much what we covered yesterday, but basically we had done this before, so this is not completely new. So guys, just as a warm up, which is not the best warm up ever, to be honest, but we're gonna do it that way. We got four different like, let's say phrases here over here, four different exercises, let's say. So what we're gonna do is super simple. We're gonna put the words in order to make noun phrases. We're gonna start a lesson by making noun phrases. Right before we have the 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 listening exercise, which is next. So guys, I'm going to give you just like 2 or 3 minutes to complete this part, the exercise number 7, which, as you see here, it is simply to it is simply about organizing words and making noun phrases. We're gonna correct those, and then we're gonna go with the next exercise. So you guys have 2 to 3 minutes, so please do it really quick, and then we'll continue. So please. So let's start with the first one. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, I will call you just randomly to help us answer this exercise. So I hope you guys are ready and you don't come up here with a big fail as it has happened before. So let me see. I like to start. Let me see. I like to start with Diana Palacios. Miss, would you please help us with the first one, with a phrase number 1, if you will?
Yes, teacher. I have complex computer equipment costing a fortune.
Great, amazing. That's exactly the answer. So let me just put it over here. Complex. Would you please repeat again? Complex.
Uh, Complex computer equipment costing a
Uh-huh.
fortune.
Perfect, Diana. Thank you very much. That's exactly the answer. And once again, guys, this is just for you to keep in mind. The reason why we studied language conventions before, and that has to do with understanding the structure of sentences and texts and stuff. So here we have a very good example of a long noun phrase, right? In which, of course, we have no verbs. So it's like 6 different words which refer to only one noun, basically. And that's a very good example. I just like it. Thank you, Diana. We're gonna continue with the second one, and for that, I would like perhaps Daniela Arias. Miss, would you please help us with the second one over here?
Yes, teacher. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yeah, right here, number 2.
Yeah. New machine, perfect Italian. I sorry, no. Uh, New machine making perfect Italian coffee for jeans.
Let me think. I mean, that would make sense somehow. I mean, that could be a possibility. And in that case, it would be talking about a genus. In that case, I assume would be a coffee shop or something. So that sort of makes sense. But no, that's not the answer. I'm so sorry about that. So the answer would be genus, no machine, genus, no machine, genus, no machine for making perfect Italian coffee. Genus new machine for making perfect Italian coffee.
Teacher, I have a
Uh,
question.
yes, mister?
Is it possible to say new genus machine and we have like genus with a Anglo-Saxon possessive referring to machine?
No need, no genus machine. Um,
And we
no, I
can say
mean,
that
if you say
machine,
that, if you say no genus machine, if you say that, it would be understood. I mean, that would be somehow understood. But normally that Saxon possessive goes right at the beginning, since no, it's an adjective of machine at the end of the day. So the thing is that we know that we place adjectives right before nouns, right before the nouns they directly determine. And no, in this case, determines directly machine. So even if you say no genus machine, it would be understood. I mean, people would understand. But of course, the best way is to put it this way, because as we put no right next to machine, as no is modifying uh, machine, you see? So yes, I would say like it's possible, but it's not the most natural
the
way to
new
put it.
machine is like the object, right?
Exactly.
That-
I mean, no
uh,
is as a direct characteristic of machine. You
mhm.
see,
Okay.
uh, there you go. And in this case, I think it was you who made that question yesterday. Genus in this case is has a function of a determiner. It determines the machine. You see, so the new machine. I mean, so there is a reason for putting it before. But yeah, and same thing happens, for instance, and this is something you know that in English there is a specific order for adjectives, right? So we don't place when one noun has several adjectives, we don't place them just however we want. There is often I mean, there is an order for adjectives. Well, something similar happens here, you see, and that has to do with possession. It would go always at the beginning, so it's because of that as well. But that's quite a good question. Thank you, Felipe. So we're gonna go with we're gonna continue with the number 3, and I would like this time, perhaps I would like to listen to a guy, Dylan Paez. I would like you to help us with the number 3, if you will.
Okay, teacher. The proportional argument
Proposal argument. Mm-hmm.
mhm, against a carefully constructed.
No, I'm afraid that makes no sense, Dylan.
Uh, sorry.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, so there is someone who wants to help us, and that's Daniel. Daniel, please help us. Give us a hand with that one.
Yes, teacher. I think is a carefully constructed argument against the proposal.
Mhm.
There you go. A carefully constructed argument against the proposal. Very good. That's the right answer, Daniel. Thank you very much. And last but not least, we're gonna finish with the number 4, and that's going to be Ashley, the one to help us with that one. Ashley, please. Number 4. This is a good one. So we're all ears. Your microphone is open, but we are not hearing you, Ashley. Okay, so I think we lost connection with Ashley somehow. So let's Ashley, yes, wanna give it a try? No, I'm afraid your microphone is not working or something. So let's go with Ana Maria, please. Ana Maria, buen día. Would you please help us with that one?
Sure, teacher. I'm not sure, but I try. This amazingly complicated biological clock helping them to navigate.
Biology, biological clock helping them to navigate, right?
Yeah.
And that is the right answer. that navigates. That's the right answer. Very, very good, Ana Maria. That's exactly the right answer there for this one. This amazingly complicated biological clock helping them to navigate. That's exactly the right answer. So guys, these are the examples of the noun phrases we've got there. So yeah, that's exactly how they look. So what we're gonna do now, guys, we're gonna continue with the next part, which is all about phrases with adverbs. So it's slightly different, right? So what we're gonna do now, we are going to listen to interviews with 3 zoologists talking about amazing feats in nature. You get a number of photos in the order they are mentioned and give the animals particular skill. Okay, so let's have a look at the vocab first, so the vocabulary. So is there any word you don't know? So well, well, you know, I mean, I think you know most of the words. Perhaps this one, termite nest. You know, termite refers to the animal. A nest, you know, it refers to the building itself where they live. I mean, this building they create for living. What other animals also have nests, guys? Talking about vocabulary, other animals that also live in nests. Did you guys know?
The bees,
The bees, we could say that. Uh-huh. Yeah,
the
yeah.
ants,
The ants, yep. And also the birds, right? Birds also, they also live in nests. So we could say like a canary, they live in nests, for example. And then we have this other vocabulary here, snapping shrimp. You know what a snap is, right? Snap refers to, you know what a snapping is? Is this act, look, that's a snapping. This is to snap. That I don't remember how to say that in Spanish. That's like, how did you say that?
tronar los dedos, chasquear.
No, it's like chasquear. Yeah, because tronar is like when you do this. Oh, you know what? I learned something a couple of months ago, and it's why in Colombia, in certain parts of Colombia, they say sacarse las yucas. I didn't know why they call it like that. Do you know why?
No, pero acá también lo decimos. Sáqueme la yuca.
There you go. And they say it because when you actually when you live in the fields and you wanna extract yuca from the soil, because you know that it is produced under the soil, right? When you do that, when you extract it, it produces a very similar sound, so that's how yuca sounds when you extract it from the soil. It sounds like when you crack your fingers, although there is another expression, it's crack something else. It's not crack your fingers. I will look for that because I don't remember, but it's crack your, I don't know, I forgot it. So there you go. That's a Colombian fact. So yes, that's why we call it like that. What animals do we have here in Colombia? I don't know if you guys have seen one of these falcons. We do have them actually here in Bogota. I don't know if you knew this, but we do have the peregrine falcons here in the city, and I've seen them a couple of times, and they are magnificent animals. So guys, let me just share again so I can share with sound this time. So please let me know if you can hear the sound.
2.1.
Can you?
Yes, teacher.
There you go, guys. So we're gonna listen to the interviews and do this exercise to 8. So let's see.
Audio 2.1.
Welcome to Everyday Nature, a weekly look at the world around us. Today we have 3 zoologists who are going to tell us about animals and their astonishing powers. Let's start with you, Dr. Marshall. What's your area of interest?
Okay, so I've been investigating sound. There are some pretty noisy animals around. For example, the lion has a seriously loud roar, which can be heard 8 kilometres away.
And isn't there a kind of shrimp which makes an awfully big click?
That's right. It's called the snapping shrimp, and it makes an astonishingly loud snap that lasts for just 1 millisecond. But it's so loud and powerful that it heats up the water around it to a temperature hotter than the sun's surface. But the blue whale is the most impressive of all. Its calls travel more than 1,600 kilometres through the ocean and are roughly as loud as a very loud rock concert.
But we humans are unable to hear it, right?
That's right.
Professor Green, I believe your field is building. There are some notably good builders out there in the animal world, am I right?
Oh, yes. Just think of a bird's nest, for example. It's so remarkably complex and beautiful that it was used as the model for the Olympic Stadium in Beijing. But I think it's beaten by the termite's nest, which is utterly astonishing. It's more like a city than a nest. It involves highly sophisticated systems. Did you know that inside the environment is temperature controlled with special ventilation?
So it's air-conditioned.
It certainly is. And what's more, there are special rooms that store food, contain gardens.
Gardens?
Gardens. And of course, house the Queen. It's an exceedingly impressive piece of work, and just made from simple materials like soil and saliva.
So, Dr. Johns, you study animals from which point of view?
Well, I'm particularly interested in how fast animals can travel, but also how long they can travel at the fastest speeds. For example, some birds, especially hunting birds, like the peregrine falcon, are extraordinarily fast over a short distance, even up to 320 kilometres an hour, if they want to catch a mouse, for example, but they can't sustain that over several minutes.
And it's fair to say that humans are hopelessly slow when it comes to running and swimming and so on, isn't it?
That's true, but we do have a critically important advantage, which is that we can run for long distances, much farther than any other animal. It's because we have a radically different body structure, and being able to run for a long time can give you advantages that pure speed doesn't have. Not least, you can win marathon races.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Johns, Professor.
There you go, guys. So let's start by identifying, first of all, the order. So which is the order of the animals to be described? So the first one is, guys, what would be the first one?
Lion.
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 Exactly. Let me just put it. Yeah, they start talking about the lion, right? So yeah, they start talking about the lion. And what is that characteristic they highlight of the lion?
Their loud roar, which can be heard about 8 kilometers away.
There you go, Valeria. Thank you very much. That's right. It's their loud roar. That can be heard from like that distance, around 8 kilometers away, right? There you go. The second one, the second animal they mentioned is which one?
The snapping shrimp.
The snapping shrimp. And there is a fact that I can still not believe. I mean, this is just nuts. So I'd like to know if you guys could hear it. I mean, well, yeah, what is that special thing it does, first of all?
The snapping.
The snapping. They describe it exactly like a loud snap. That's how they call it. But what happens with that snap, guys? It's just crazy. I cannot believe it myself still, but I mean, it must be true.
I remember something like it. I don't know the word. It warm the water.
There you
Something
go.
like
So let me actually look for that and let's see if we can hear it again.
Audio. Today we have 3 zoologists.
Okay, so for example, the lion has a seriously loud
Kind of shrimp which makes an awfully
seriously loud roar, which can be heard 8 kilometres away.
And isn't there a kind of shrimp which makes an awfully big click?
That's right. It's called the snapping shrimp, and it makes an astonishingly loud snap that lasts for just 1 millisecond.
The first thing they say about that snap is that is astonishing loud, but it lasts only 1 millisecond. That's one thing. So it's something which happens really, really quick.
But it's so loud and powerful that it heats up the water around it to a temperature hotter than the sun's surface.
Can't you believe it? So what they say is that that snapping is so loud and powerful that it heats up the water around. It heats up the water around. Let me just put it over here. Heats up. It heats up the water around, and that water can get to a very, very high temperature. Can you hear? Could you guys hear what was the equivalent they gave us there? Like how hot the water can get?
Hotter than the sun's surface?
Yeah, like the water can get hotter than the sun's surface. I mean, that's just, I mean, seriously, I mean, it's incredible. So that's what it does. Basically, what the snapping shrimp is that what makes is like, or does is that it makes this super loud snap that heats up the water around to a temperature which is hotter than the sun's surface. So that's extremely dangerous for other organisms like it. So there you go. Then the third one, guys, is
Terminate nest.
the termite nest, right? Is a termite nest. And what is that, characteristic or a special feat they share here about the termites?
That the construction of the nest is very like sophisticated.
Yeah, we could
And
call
they
it like that.
have a like ventilation in there.
There we go. So we could say that it's a complex nest. It's a complex nest because, as Valeria said, they say that it has a series of ventilation channels and different rooms and gardens, right? So it's a very complex nest inside. So yeah, there you go. And the fourth one, but actually no, you know what? This one was the number 4. Yeah, the termites, I think it was the number 4. And the number 3 was the blue whale. That's what I've got here. Is it true? Let me just double check.
Right?
Complex and beautiful that it was used just.
Your field is building. There are some notably good builders out there.
There's a very loud rock concert. But we
Yeah.
humans travel more than 1,600 kilometers around it to a temperature hotter than the sun's surface. But the blue whale is the most impressive of all. Its calls travel more than 1,600 kilometers through the ocean and are roughly as loud as a very loud rock concert.
But we humans are unable to hear it, right?
That's right.
There you go. So actually, the number 3 was the blue whale. And what they say about the blue whale is that it has a very loud call, right? They say it has a very loud call. They even say that that call can be heard from around 1,700 kilometers away. You see, so it's a very loud call, but still we humans cannot hear it. So that's why they say. And then the number 4 was the termite nest, which means that the last one was the falcon. So so what is that special feat of the falcon, guys? What's that thing? Yep.
They can like travel or fly up to 300 kilometers, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that is true. It's the speed they can fly faster than 320 kilometers. So it's almost the speed of, it's around the speed of a F1 car. You see, so I mean, they are ridiculously fast. So that's why they said about the peregrine falcon. There you go, guys. There you go. So guys, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to listen to the audio again, as it says here. And for that, we're going to listen and note down what these phrases with adverbs are describing. You see, so we've got 8 different phrases. Yes, 8 different phrases. And what makes them special is the fact that, as we know, they contain adverbs. So each one of them has one adverb, right? That's what makes it somehow different. In previous examples, we saw that most of them had adjectives, right? In this case, it's all about adverbs. So I would like you to take like 1 minute just to check all this vocabulary so you understand perhaps the meaning of all these expressions before we do the exercise. And then we do it. Okay, guys. So we have seriously loud, remarkably complex, utterly astonishing, highly sophisticated, exceedingly impressive, particularly interested, critically important, radically different. So those are the expressions. So we're going to listen again. And basically, for example, just as an example, seriously loud. Oh, it refers to the call of the whales, for example. So just to see exactly what they refer to, okay, what they are describing. That's what we are going to do. So we're gonna listen a second time just to spot these phrases and see exactly what they are describing. So let's do this.
Audio 2.1.
Welcome to Everyday Nature, a weekly look at the world around us. Today we have 3 zoologists who are going to tell us about animals and their astonishing powers. Let's start with you, Dr. Marshall. What's your area of interest?
OK, so I've been investigating sound. There are some pretty noisy animals around. For example, the lion has a seriously loud roar, which can be heard 8 kilometres away.
And isn't there a kind of shrimp which makes an awfully big click?
That's right. It's called the snapping shrimp, and it makes an astonishingly loud snap that lasts for just 1 millisecond. But it's so loud and powerful that it heats up the water around it to a temperature hotter than the sun's surface. But the blue whale is the most impressive of all. Its calls travel more than 1,600 kilometres through the ocean and are roughly as loud as a very loud rock concert.
But we humans are unable to hear it, right?
That's right.
Professor Green, I believe your field is building. There are some notably good builders out there in the animal world, am I right?
Oh, yes. Just think of a bird's nest, for example. It's so remarkably complex and beautiful that it was used as the model for the Olympic Stadium in Beijing. But I think it's beaten by the termite's nest, which is utterly astonishing. It's more like a city than a nest. It involves highly sophisticated systems. Did you know that inside the environment is temperature controlled with special ventilation?
So it's air-conditioned.
It certainly is. And what's more, there are special rooms that store food, contain gardens.
Gardens?
Gardens. And of course, house the Queen. It's an exceedingly impressive piece of work, and just made from simple materials like soil and saliva.
So, Dr. Johns, you study animals from which point of view?
Well, I'm particularly interested in how fast animals can travel, but also how long they can travel at the fastest speeds. For example, some birds, especially hunting birds, like the peregrine falcon, are extraordinarily fast over a short distance, even up to 320 kilometres an hour, if they want to catch a mouse, for example, but they can't sustain that over several minutes.
And it's fair to say that humans are hopelessly slow when it comes to running and swimming and so on, isn't it?
That's true, but we do have a critically important advantage, which is that we can run for long distances, much farther than any other animal. It's because we have a radically different body structure, And being able to run for a long time can give you advantages that pure speed doesn't have. Not least, you can win marathon races.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Johns, Professor.
There you go, guys. I think that's it. So let's try to see exactly what they refer to. So the first one, guys, which is seriously loud. Seriously loud. It refers to what, guys, in that case?
The lions roar.
There you go. Absolutely right. Lions. Wait. The lions roar, right? They refer to the lion's roar. So let me just put it a little bit smaller. Lion's roar. Then, very good. Then we have the number 2, which is remarkably complex. So I think we can guess that one very easily, right?
Yeah, the termite.
Termites, yeah.
Yeah, termites.
Termites.
I believe when they say remarkably complex, they refer to the bird nest.
Excuse me, the which one?
They mentioned two kind of nests, right? One is the bird nest and then the termites. I believe that one
Okay.
refers
Oh,
to
well, it could be. Let me just double check just to see exactly where that is. Let me. I'm just reading the script here, just to make sure, so I can read that part again, so you guys know exactly what they refer to. Give me 1 second. Remarkably complex is the one we are. Yeah. So look, this is what they say. They say, come on, dude. I just lost it.
there's in the bottom when you say Z2. Yeah, there.
There you go. Oh, it says, oh yes, just think of a bird's nest, for example. It's so remarkably complex. Huh. That is right. Just think of a bird's nest, for example. It's so remarkably complex and beautiful that it was used as the model for the Olympic Stadium. That is right, but let me just read the part in which they talk about the termites. I would like to know why they say here. It's kind of hard to determine, because look, they say, just think of a bird's nest, for example. It's so remarkably complex and beautiful that it was used as the model for the Olympic Stadium in Beijing. But I think it's beaten by the termite's nest, which is utterly astonishing. So yeah, that's right. You know, I agree with you. I believe that that should be the answer. It should be, in that case, the bird's nest. In this case, it should be the birds, and the next one, in this case right here, it should be the bird's nest, and the next one, which is utterly complex, let me see, refers to the termites, because it's right next to it. So this is the termites, and the previous one should be the birds. Thank you very much for that, Valeria. I agree with you, because it's like it could be understood that way, but I think this option is better. So yeah, I believe it's also termites nest, and then bird's nest before. Okay, thank you for that. In the case of the number 4, guys, highly sophisticated, it refers to what? Highly sophisticated. What does it refer to in that case? Give me a second as I shared it again. Sure. Highly sophisticated, guys. In that case, we could say that it refers, you know, to the termite's nest at the end of the day as well. More specifically to the system, right? But we are referring also again here to the termite's nest in that case, right? Number 5, guys. In the case of number 5, exceedingly impressive. Did you catch anything?
Yeah, I think it's also the termite nest, but like the gardens.
So the piece of work, they say here that it should be the piece of work. ING, the termites nest. Yeah, actually, right. I mean, I think the whole thing is about just termites. So yeah, it's also regarding the system inside, which is the with about the gardens and everything. That is right. Number 6, according to the answers here, is Dr. Jones' interest. That's particularly interested. So they say that it's Dr. Jones. How did they write it here? Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones' interest. That's what they say. Number 7, critically important. They say it's the advantage that humans have in long distance running. That's what they refer to here. The advantage of humans in long distance running. That's and the last one, guys. Could you help me with the last one? Number 8, perhaps? Do you guys catch it? Oh, whatever. Number 8, guys. Did you catch anything for the number 8?
Body structure.
The body structure of humans, right? Yep. That's the body structure. Structure of humans. That's exactly how it goes. There you go, guys. So now we're gonna go with a task just to finish this this topic, let's say. So look what you guys have to do. I think we can do it in a small groups. But look, this is what we're gonna do. You guys have to choose a person, place, an object that are either well known or important to you. Then you have to make a few notes to help you describe each using at least one complex noun phrase and one phrase with an adverb. So what do we mean by one complex noun phrase? Just look at the examples we have here in the exercise number 7. These are examples of complex noun phrases, you know, which is these phrases that have several adjectives and articles and everything. So we make these long phrases. And phrases using adverbs, well, the examples that we just cover over this last exercise. You see, just look at the ones here on the exercise number 9. So for instance, if let's say you are describing a city, like in this case, Carcassonne. So it says Carcassonne isn't it? Well, you wouldn't say Carcassonne, but because the point is that the others should guess. So when you are reading your phrases to your classmates, you would say, for instance, it is a astonishingly beautiful medieval city in the south of France, not too far from the border with Spain. It is particularly well known for its city walls. So guys, this example, I believe this example is very important because here you can see how being aware of the structure of phrases and being aware on how to put words together to create phrases and describing, in this case, people, places, and objects, can help you, you know, create very attractive texts. So that's pretty much what we want to do with this one. It's a guessing exercise, yep, but the fact that we are using phrases, noun phrases, with adverbs and complex noun phrases means that you will be describing things in a more elaborated way. And that's something which is very interesting to see. So that is as simple as that, guys. You guys are going to take around 5 minutes or so to make your phrases. Remember that it has to be a person, a place, and an object. So it means that you need to describe 3 things. And then after those 5 minutes, you will read those to your classmates, okay? So if that's okay with you guys, I'll give you 5 minutes for making the phrases. And then after these 5 minutes, we'll open the breakout rooms so you can share that with your classmates and complete the exercise. Is that okay with you guys?
Teacher,
Yes,
how
Anna?
many phrases we have to do?
It's up to you, but like, look, this is the example of one. So for example, in this case, we're talking about actually 1, 2, 3 phrases, more or less, but this is the model. So I would like you to follow this model we have here. You see, this is enough. So it's around 3 phrases, but what you need to remember is that you need to use at least 1 complex noun phrase and at least 1 phrase. So the minimum is 2. But for example, in this model, they've got 3. So that's it, okay?
Thanks, teacher.
Okay, so let's do that, guys. We've got 5 minutes to put everything together, and then we're gonna go to the breakout room so we share with the rest. So let's see, guys. I'm gonna pause the recording here. So I got no doubts with that one. But the last part, I just got a little bit lost. So as we know that, well, we are using phrases, and as there are no verbs, we know that that we need to pay attention to very big chunks of text. So perfectly written book showing the world universal horror literature. Showing the world. Okay, showing the world. I understand. So it's like what you'd say here is like it's a perfectly written book, perfect,
Yeah.
showing. So it shows universal horror literature to the world, right?
Okay.
No, I mean that's what you want to say, right? It's like I'm changing the order. Yes, I'm changing the order just to understand a little bit better.
Yeah.
So actually, the way it is right here is okay. I mean, this is not incorrect here. If we say perfectly written book showing the world universal horror literature, it depends a lot on how we read it. So how can, I mean, if we if we read it like for make it easier for people to understand, you need to play a little bit with intonation. So you should have said perfectly written book showing the world universal horror literature. You see, showing the world universal horror literature. In that way, you are somehow making a little pause after world and introducing the second part. But that's when speaking. In terms of writing, I think it's okay. It's hard to understand, but it's okay. I think there is no mistake. And if we wanted to make it easier to understand, it should be the way I say it, like perfect, like for example, yeah, perfectly written book, perfectly written book showing universal horror literature to the world. That would be the easiest version to understand. But yeah, it's okay. It's right, but it's hard to understand. So here we got a guess. Any book by Stephen King, says Laura. So I don't know, Diego.
No.
Dracula.
Yes.
Dracula. That's a good one. Who is the author of that book, by the way?
Abraham Stoker.
There you go. I've got some really, I mean, that's one of the most interesting stories ever. Not just, I mean, because of the origin itself. So so you know that there is one Dracula, which is the Dracula from Stoker, right? But there's also a historical character. I mean, that book was inspired in an actual person.
It was inspired by Bram Stoker wrote that book inspired on Vlad, I don't know the name, how it says in English, but Vlad el Empalador.
Vlad the Impaler. Yes, the name of him is. I'm gonna try to write it here. Let me just copy paste it from Google, because there it has got a character which is not, which is in Romanian, and I don't have my keyboard in Romanian. Look, it is read Vlad Țepeș. That's how you write it, Vlad Țepeș. And this Vlad Țepeș, he's a hero in Romania. So it's a very important historical character from Romania. So the story is just wonderful. I mean, it is really incredible. This is a story which is developed in the times of the Ottoman Empire, And like later I don't know if I should tell you that story right now, but it's very interesting to be honest. When you read both about the historical character and the character from the book, it's a very interesting construction. So there you go, Vlad Tepes and Dracula. Good. Anybody else, guys? Thank you very much, Diego. Thank you very much, Valeria, for sharing. Anybody else, guys, who wants to perhaps share with us their sentences? This is a very good moment for both you receiving feedback, but also for the rest of us to have a look at examples and perhaps making comments and corrections and so on. So anybody else, guys? Come on, you can do this. Who wants to share? Ah, pero cuando no se despide, y si todos, chao, profe, chao, profe, chao, profe, y hablan el 90%. ¿Cierto? Ah, bueno.
Okay, teacher, I want to try.
Thank you, Diego.
That
Thank
is.
you. Thank you, Felipe.
Oh my God, no, Felipe.
Felipe.
That is a city. That is a well. That is in the perfectly constructed city located in the south of Colombia. That is like famous for its beaches and is also famous for a person, well, like a professional soccer player who was born there in the place called El Pescadito.
Okay, so let's go little by little because there are several phrases. So please read the first one.
That is a perfectly city constructed, located in the south of Colombia.
Perfectly constructed city should be perfectly constructed city located in Colombia, for instance. If you say perfectly constructed city located in Colombia, that's perfect. You see, that's an example of a phrase. There are no complete verbs in that case. Perfectly constructed city located in Colombia. Good. The second one was.
The second was it's famous because of its beaches.
You got to be careful in that case, since we are using only phrases. So that means that you shouldn't use verbs. Remember, it's only noun phrases, so no verbs are allowed. So you should simply start by famous. Famous by.
Famous by its beaches.
By its beaches. Good.
And
the last part. And famous.
Famous for, oh my God, for a professional soccer player who was born there.
Born there.
Oh my God, we don't have to use verbs. Well, famous because of a professional soccer player.
There you go. That's a very good example. That is a very good example. So I think we all know which city this is, right?
Yeah.
Santa Marta.
Santa Marta. There you go, Santa Marta. But those were really good examples. Guys, you know what? I like to listen to an example of an object because we've heard about, I mean, apart from books, but just another object. I would like to listen at least one example more of an object, and then we are good to finish with this part. So who wants to help us? Please, please, please. You can do this, guys.
I want, but I
Nicolas.
don't know if my phrase is correct.
Okay.
So, quickly good at looking for things.
Quickly good. Quickly
at looking
good.
for things.
Well, in that case, quickly good at looking
Teacher,
for
I
things.
didn't know if put quickly or rapidly. I have.
Well, the thing is that interaction between the adverb and the adjective, that's what I'm a little bit doubtful about. So if you want to say that something is very fast, right? If you want to say this object, this something is really fast for, looking at things or something like that, for when looking for things. So the adjective should be fast or quick, right? You can use fast or quick as an adjective, but the adverb right before shouldn't be quickly, because what you want to, it should be an adverb or that intensifies the characteristic fast. So for example, something like surprisingly fast, incredibly fast, tremendously fast, absolutely fast, you see? Because you want to intensify the adjective. Because if you say this is quickly fast, that would be redundant. So in that case, it should be just an adverb that intensifies that adjective. So it's surprisingly fast for looking for things, something like that. You see?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
So okay. So who wants to guess? I think it's Google. That's my guess, but I don't know.
Yes, teacher. It's
Oh,
Google.
there you go. It's Google. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. So guys, thank you. Thank you very much for that. As you can see, guys, once again, we are with all these exercises, we're trying to explore the structure of sentences. I'm really glad. I think we have combined both the topic of language conventions and the lessons we have gone through with the book. We have made a very interesting combination just to see how these things work and how the sentences are built inside a any regular text. So I think that was something very, very useful. Before we close this part, guys, I'd like to know if you have any question, if there is anything you would like me to go over. I don't know. I'm all ears. Is there anything you want me to clarify, perhaps, in case you've got doubts or something?
No, teacher.
No questions whatsoever. Okay, guys. So this is what we're gonna do now. So we're gonna go back again to the project and have a look at one of the materials that we shared yesterday, right? So I think you already had a chance to download the materials that I shared with you on Moodle, right? So I said, like, I would like you just to have a look at this, just to have a look at that and see what the materials were about. You see? So this is the one of the most important materials, and that's the designer's workbook. This is a material that you can use individually. So even though you are working in groups, you have to see this as your workbook. I mean, because that's what it is, right? So that means that you can put information there, you can take notes and stuff about your project, even though you are working together. So no problem with that. So with this material, guys, if you have already had a chance to look at the materials, it all starts with a brief introduction. So before we continue, guys, have you downloaded this material already?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so I think if you haven't, just pretend that you have, as I explained, but download it right now. So please download it in this very moment. Should be located in week number 5, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, should be there, week number 5. Just download it really quick, as I will give you a brief introduction to this. So as I said, guys, this is a material which has been especially designed for using design thinking in the context of education. But it doesn't mean that it only can be used in education. Design thinking is a methodology that is used in any kind of field, and actually it become very popular in the context of product design, marketing, and engineering. Those are the fields in which this methodology was originally used. So what do we find when we open this material? The very first thing we find is this very brief introduction, which I believe is super powerful, and I'd like you guys to focus on. So look, they say, design thinking is about believing we can make a difference and having an intentional process in order to get to new, relevant solutions that create positive impact. You see, so that is what design thinking is about. Design thinking gives you faith in your creative abilities and a process for transforming difficult challenges into opportunities for design. Design thinking is human-centered, collaborative, optimistic, and experimental. That's how they describe this methodology. So they say this workbook includes step-by-step instructions for completing a design challenge using the design thinking process. This workbook is a quick start guide to the design thinking process and is best used in combination with the design thinking for educators toolkit. That's a toolkit that I can share with you later. Well, we are not going to focus on that. They say here that talking about projects for education, you could use this design workbook for creating projects or challenges in curriculum design, spaces, processes and tools and systems. But in general terms, guys, to be honest, this is something that you can use for any kind of project, okay? You can use it for any kind of project. I really would like you to, whenever you want, guys, to Google that, design thinking, as you'll see that this methodology is becoming more and more and more and more popular. Actually, in this very moment, we have a project with the Ministry of Education in which are called Clubes de Innovación, in which what we are going to do is that we are going to mentor teachers from lots of different schools in Colombia to use design thinking for creating projects in bilingualism. So this is something which is being used more and more and more in the field of education and languages as well. So in this case, in the case of our project, we know that we are working on challenges from lots of different fields, and we wanted to open the challenge that way. So it didn't have to be necessarily related with education. If you are working in a project in education, that's great. But if you want to do something different, that's also good, because what we want to do here is to get familiar with the methodology, but along that, develop, as we said, our skills for effective communication. That's what the whole challenge is about. So far, I think we have concluded this first introduction, in which we somehow saw what we're going to do in the future. We know that we are going to construct a business plan later. We know that we are putting together this canvas design in which we are putting all the different elements of our idea together. But we are in this process of understanding the challenge and preparing for it, basically. So as I said, guys, we are going to start with the very first section. So this is going to be a very simple piece of exercise. We're going to start today and finish tomorrow, hopefully. So we are going to see what this is about. So guys, this is the very first step we need to go over, and that has to do with defining a challenge. So far, you have topics, you have identified perhaps people who are related to that. We have also, talk about possible impacts that we could develop. It's been a brainstorming exercise in which you have put some information together, but we're gonna start now actually defining that. So the very first thing is to define that challenge. What is the design challenge you have? That's the very first thing. So identify the design challenge that you are going to have. So let's have a look at this. This is what they say. So finding opportunities for design often begins by noticing problems. Sometimes it comes out as wishes. For instance, I really wish our school had a lab for languages, for instance. Sometimes it comes out as complaints. It annoys me that we are not good at the pruebas saber pro. I don't know. You see, so it's just, you could put it in those different ways, but either a starting point is fine. You might want to try this with a friend. Share your dreams and grips and ask them to reflect about design opportunities, for instance. So this is what I'd like you guys to do. This is just an example on how we start defining a challenge. So give me a second. Yeah. So what we're gonna do, guys, just to see how challenges are created, what we are going to do, guys, is just to write a list of dreams and a list of grapes, things that could be better or things that you would like to exist. But I would like you to write these things related to your project. So I would like you to focus on that, although you can also write some sentences about other things, you see? And then what you do right here on the right is to flip those statements into possible design challenges, you see? And it is something super simple. And that's starting with how might we? So for example, let's say, I really wish there was a platform for us to buy secondhand clothes in our city. You see, I wish there was a platform for us to buy secondhand clothes. And you know that this whole idea of the secondhand clothes is growing a lot, since it's a very eco-friendly solution, right? Opposed to fast clothing. I know that there's one project on that here. So we put it just like that. I wish there was a platform for us to buy secondhand clothes. And then we flip the dream into a challenge. If we say, how might we create a platform for selling or for people to buy secondhand clothes? You see, just start with that question. So that's what we want to do. We want to get to those questions, and those questions or statements get out of things that you wish exist or things that could be better. You see, like complaints. You see, so that's pretty much what we're gonna do, guys. This is as simple as that. That's how I would like you to start, and tomorrow we're gonna have a look at that. So you have already thought about a project, about a general problem, about a topic. So I would like you to write those dreams and grapes on that. Okay, so it's there is no a standard number of statements. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5. It depends on you. But the point here is how would you convert that into statements for a challenge, you see, which is basically to put these things that way. Tomorrow, we are going to have a look at this, and this is going to help us a lot understand a little bit better what you actually want to do. So tomorrow we'll go group by group. So tomorrow when we start a session, I will give you some instructions. So you will continue working on another section of the project. And then I will visit each one of the groups in which you guys are going to put this together. So just for you to know, this is an exercise that you guys will do individually. So even though you are in the same group, I would like you to work on the questions, some of the questions individually or so in group and so on. But tomorrow in the class, you are going to select some of those as a group. So for example, let's say I have 4 sentences here and 4 sentences here. Tomorrow I will share them with my group. We will discuss and stuff, and we will make a selection, you see? So we will make a selection of 3 or 2, for example, and that's how it goes. So guys, and then you will share them with me. As I visit the groups, you will share with me the sentences. I will also help you correct sentences if needed, or rephrase them to make them sound more clear and so on. But that's essentially what we're gonna do tomorrow. So guys, have you got any question about that? No. Remember, this is only about your project. So it's not dreams or things you wish exist about anything. No, it should be related to your project, you see, from different perspectives, but it's about your project. So it's just to put those sentences here and then flip them and convert them into statements for possible design challenges as they put them here. Okay, that's essentially the instruction. So guys, I assume you have no questions then, right? About this? No?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna focus only on this section, 0.1, define a challenge. We will not work on the others. We will work on the other sections tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow I will work with each one of the groups just to polish this part, let's say. And also we are going to be working on the section 0.2 tomorrow, but that's something I will explain tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow we will talk exactly about that. How to do it, guys. Remember that this is not going to be necessarily something you deliver. So this is not a product for me to evaluate this workbook. This workbook is just for you to put your ideas together and polish everything. Because remember that so far, the products that we have identified are the design canvas, which is this format that you've been working on in Mural, and the business plan, which is something we're gonna present later. Okay, but as this term finishes basically next week, tomorrow I will also tell you exactly what is the product that you will be presenting for this first term, because we are going to continue working on this challenge on the second term. Okay, guys, so that's essentially how it goes. So let me just stop sharing my screen. Make sure you download the material, guys. You got it there. So download it and please start working on that. So we've got this section 0.1 for tomorrow. will make some comments and I'll tell you exactly how that works. So guys, I'm gonna call the attendance. Give me a second. We're gonna call the attendance right now. I will stop the recording if you